work. So
We did it.
we did it, man. We did
We
it.
got it
And you still
together.
look good. So were you gigging before the pandemic happened? Like, were you gigging often?
Not that much.
No,
No,
really.
not really that much.
Mm.
I was doing a lot of playing, but I wasn't out playing with, let's say, a band. That kind of like was on a down slope, and it was kind of like we played this one particular gig steadily, and the business kind of went down a little bit. I
Hmm.
noticed, and they didn't have music anymore.
Yeah,
And we were the first band to play there, and then they closed the place. So, I
that's
mean,
crazy.
whatever happened there, but it wasn't the band that broke up. It was just that the gig kind of like subsided,
Hmm.
and a lot of things happened with sickness and stuff with the band, and this one fellow passed away.
Oh, it's a shame. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but so it was just kind of dissolved on its own. You know.
Yeah, because we were gigging, we had gigs lined up, and then all of a sudden, the pandemic started getting a little bit more worse and worse, where everything started getting canceled. Poeta had two shows.
Mm,
We canceled them because we're releasing new music soon, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'll
sure.
have to send you over some of the files. And yeah, so we never really got a hold of what we were able to do. And New Jersey, I think, besides New York, is one of the more shut down states with everything going on. So,
Mm.
and thankfully, you're still teaching online for Music Forte, and if you have any other students. So that's
I have
pretty.
some students, some private students that I had here, you know, but I think I'm going to, because of this whole situation, they may stop that, having
Yeah.
people come over here, and I'll just do the students that were at Music Forte and keep those on. So we have like a lot of each day, 5 days I've been doing this over the internet,
Hmm.
and Saturdays too.
I have a
But,
couple students as well, and they just their parents actually started being concerned, so they said, "Hey, listen, let's just reschedule when this is all over and done with," which I'm
uh,
totally comfortable with
yeah.
because
Mm.
the in person was just so effective for him. And I said, and I gave him like a list of things to do. Hey, work on your rudiments,
Mm.
work on your singles, doubles, triples. I mean, the one student's 9, the other student is 11. So I mean, just to make sure that they're constantly doing something, and they actually enjoy listening to songs when I teach them. So that's pretty cool.
It's
That's pretty
rewarding. It
cool.
really is. It's fun to do, especially if you have a student that is interested and is showing some progress and does put the time in on the practice routine. But it can be torturous.
Could you tell I was interested?
It could be a torture. Like if you have somebody that's really not into it, and the parents think that they should do the lessons, and yeah, well, maybe not.
Could you
You
tell I
know.
was interested when drumming when I
Oh
was
my
like
God,
13?
you were really, you you're a monster. I'm serious, really, man. Anything I told you to do, you would do that, and then beyond. Really, you were obsessed.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Well, it was funny because I remember a friend, mutual friend, told me that he took lessons with you. So I said, you know what, I want to pick up sticks and drum. And then I started, and I came over for a lesson. I was like, Cheech, this guy sounds like a cool guy. And you were just so humble and so patient with me in the beginning. However, I think it was like after I got my drum set for sure, you gave me a CD and you were like, I want you to listen to the CD. And when CDs were a thing, I want you to listen to the CD and I want you to tell me what you think. And prior to that, I'm listening to like Breaking Benjamin, Linkin Park, Sublime, all that stuff.
Hmm.
And I got hooked on that CD you gave me. And
What did
then
I give you?
you gave me 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. And you
Oh,
said, "This is my son." And I was like, "You gotta be kidding me! Are you serious?" And then you were like, "Dude, they're playing a show at the Susquehanna Bank when it was the Susquehanna Bank. Now it's BB&T Amphitheater." And you were
mhm.
like, "You want to come? You want to come to the show?" I was like, "Absolutely! Are you kidding me? Let's go!" So that dude that drove me, man. Like the passion that those guys have as a single family. I mean that's inspirational in general. But how was that show? Their reunion show at the Shrine up in California, the Shrine Expo Hall. I'm sure everybody was there.
Yeah, there was a lot of celebrity type people there too, and the place was jam packed.
Hmm.
I was really impressed. That was something to see, really was, and especially those guys being the center of attention and everything. It was really really cool. They really did it right.
Hmm.
And I'll never forget that as long as I live. That was some show, you know.
You didn't do any
And
crowd
then
surfing?
this happened. They were supposed to be in Australia, New
Yeah.
Zealand,
Hmm.
Japan. Matter of fact, he was going to take the kids and his family out there to Japan, and they got permission from the school to let him out of school and everything. They did all that stuff, and the coronavirus
Yeah.
hit, and everything changed.
It
The whole
crept up
world.
on us. Hopefully the national tour is still on. I mean, for September, luckily I got my tickets for the September show up in New Jersey. So I'm hoping the pandemic would probably die down within the beginning of summer. If that, they just cancel school statewide in Pennsylvania, so the kids aren't going back to school. But you didn't
Yeah.
crowd surf at that show though. You didn't crowd surf at all, or do anything crazy, or?
I just hung out in the parents' lounge.
Yeah,
No, parents' lounge. I just hung out.
the parents' green room and such.
Yeah, it was fun, man. We had a good time. He rented a house for us, and what a knocked out place, man. We had a good time.
It's
Then
crazy.
we went to Palm Springs after that, and we partied there.
Yeah, it's a good vacation. I mean, it's you and your father, who I was honored to be taught by, and even Frank. You guys have all the same passion and drive. You guys don't stop, man. Like, even when MCR wasn't a thing for a little bit, Frank was doing multiple projects, as well as you were also, drumming, teaching, being involved with a lot of things. It's got to be in the genes, man. It's got to be in the genes.
Yeah, watching my father play and seeing how happy he looked when he was playing was really something to watch. You could tell he was so deep into playing,
Mhm.
and I think that my son is the same.
Mhm.
He has that passion for sure.
But so do you, though, because of the fact that you've obviously worked with a plethora of industry professionals. I mean, let's see how good my memory is with all the stories you told me. You ready? So I think you worked with Santana, John Lennon, taught John Lennon's son, if I'm not mistaken. So
Mhm.
yeah, you were doing a lot of those gigs. You were best friends with Buddy Rich. You guys used to go to Yankees games and such. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
buddy. Yeah.
that relationship was.
Hey, don't forget, I played with Tiny Tim. Come on, people.
Yeah. I actually forgot about that one. Oh, jeez. No, but I mean, like, it's just the work ethic, and your passion obviously fueled me, and now I'm doing a podcast, which is cool because I want to kind of bring the light to any industry in general, regardless to music or a profession, through somebody, because if one person can view this video or this podcast or listen to it however they take up the content, they can learn something from it, or it just gives them that extra boost or help, then the job's been done. I just love having the normal conversation with anybody. So it's just, like, I had a person who was like, oh, Kevin Lyman from the last podcast we had, he gave me some good tips on local bands, making sure that they're ready for labels, managers, whatever. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, that's where I learned most of my stuff was from you. I trust me, I still brag about you. Like, if it wasn't for you, man, that music business would not be inside my head at all.
We did have some good times, and I think the times we got together transcended just the drumming and the right left right left right left deals.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about what the business was like, and I emphasize that all the time with you. There's the music, and there's the music business, and one has nothing to do with the other.
No, never. And that stuck with me for years.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked out because, I mean, with what I've learned over the years, with Poeta, we started with our debut album, gradually grew. We were on the Warped Tour for 2017 for 11 days, sponsored by Skull Candy. So that insight of the business came from you and how you kind of molded me into that kind of figure. So you learned that at an early age, I'm sure, from not only your father, but for working in the industry, because you used to tell me these stories where you used to go knock door to door in New York and knock and try to, get a gig in. And then eventually you got a gig with being a staff drummer for Record Plant Studios, I believe. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, just knocking on the doors. I was trying to get like any kind of gig.
Yeah.
Anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of balls, as they would say. I would go to places like I had no business being there. But I mean, I went there, knocked on the doors, and got rejected a lot of times.
Mhm.
Just couldn't find my way, you know.
Mhm.
One thing led to another. You talk to somebody, you make a contact, and you get in any kind of gig. I was playing with Michael Carney and Lee Evans orchestras, um, traveling all over the place, playing some high society kind of gigs,
Mhm.
and playing these blues gigs and anything. Played anywhere I could play, and one thing led to another, and uh, I got a gig with Modern Drummer magazine. I started to write for them, and they made me associate editor, and worked for them for a while. Met a lot of people through that gig, and then went to Record Plant Recording Studios, and they needed a like a manager, there,
Mhm.
and and they had a in-house record label called Hologram Records, and I was a staff drummer there also.
Yeah.
I played a lot of recordings. You
Did you probably met so many people in and out of that
know.
studio?
Uh,
You know what I
they
mean?
that was the top of the recording industry then.
Mhm.
Then,
Right.
then, like the studio musician was the king of New York. No, really, man. You can go in, do a session in the morning, something else to office work, and do a session in the afternoon. Go to another studio, go play at night, play an after hours club, come back in, trying to do your game. Like, man, like you burn the candle at both ends, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but that's so cool though, and unfortunately, it's not like that anymore. I watched a documentary a friend sent to me on Netflix. I believe it was called Higher Gun, and it was about touring studio musicians in the modern day, and they followed, I think, 3 or 4 people. I mean, very very good careers. Some of them had unfortunate situations where I believe it was don't quote me on this, anybody's watching, but I believe it was Billy Joel, who got screwed over in the industry and by management, and like he fired all of his touring musicians, and they were his musicians for a long time. So it was just like, it is a risk, but at the same time, it can be a very successful thing if you keep putting yourself into it. Also, someone's got a question for you, my dude. What advice do you have for a musician who's interested in getting into teaching?
You know, legit teaching
Mm.
on this percussion instrument, this multiple percussion instrument. If you are going to teach at a higher level institution, they
Hmm.
want you to come up with
Like some kind of platform or some kind of like agenda for what the next step is and
yeah,
such.
like from beginning to intermediate to advanced lessons, and I did do that for
Hmm.
different institutions that I worked for. But my whole thing was just whatever we start talking about, it kind of led to the subject that I would feel applied to the drum set, and so it was very free, But although we did get a lot of important information in the lessons, but I wasn't into like lesson one. This is page one. Page two. This is lesson two.
Hmm.
It's like okay,
Hmm.
wasn't that the curriculum wasn't that strict for me.
Hmm. That's
You
good
know that
though.
because you took lessons
Yeah,
with me.
obviously.
We
Yeah.
were just like we covered a lot of ground though. We really did. Um, but as far as like to prepare for this, I would just go and hear a lot of different drummers and listen to a lot of different music and study a lot of different ways of playing. Um, there's so many different genres in the percussion instrument
Hmm.
that you can follow, Latin and Dixieland and jazz and a lot of different rock grooves to try to draw from. And I think that all comes out in your playing and your style, what you've have accomplished and what you've sought out in your learning. You know,
Hmm.
whether it's um, being a marching drummer
Hmm.
or avant-garde jazz player. You know, so there's a lot of different ways of approaching that goal to be a good teacher. I think.
Yeah, because like every student's going to be different for sure. I've the two students that I have now. I mean, if they do become to a intermediate to advanced level, I know I would definitely send them on their way. Due to me from my studies, I have up into that intermediate level, so I know that I wouldn't just pull the kids, strings and arms and be like and try to, like improvise on it. But like I would definitely send them out, but as well as each kid has a different taste. So the one student is huge into pop music, like Taylor Swift, 21 Pilots. So I'm basically wrapping my head around how he wants to play those songs or those kinds of beats. You know what I mean? Like your quarter
Mhm.
notes, your 4/4s. Not really getting into 3/4s yet with him, but I'm sure he's a pretty quick learner. And it's extremely refreshing to do it. But your studies, like they've gone like through the roof. I mean, I remember you telling me you sat down and you started really studying um, charts and writing out your own music, and then you also gave me a bunch of lessons on writing my own music, which I still do to this day. Even on a computer, but I like handwriting it for sure. Yeah, it's good to get the classics down.
It's all fun, man. It sure is. You
Yeah.
know, you never work a day in your life if you do something you love, man.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I personally wanted to do the touring thing. That was the inspiration, man. Like when I saw, MCR live, I was 13 years old. The energy was there, and I said, I want to do that. I want to be in a band where I feel like it's a family. I want to, invest original music. I never wanted to be, doing. I did covers in a sense, but it was just a lot of pressure. So I kind of just like took a step back. But Poeta did it, and Poeta's still doing it, and thankfully we've built great relationships from it. People have been reaching out like, when's the album coming out? I was like, it'll come out, and
Mhm.
um, yeah, I couldn't see myself um, not playing drums at all in general. Like I have a cover gig now where we play a couple cover yeah, featured nights, cover band nights. We're trying to do weddings. I think it's a little rough, but we're getting there. Yeah, and it's all an experience. But if you keep playing and like you get a little bit of dough in your pocket to support not only what you're doing, but for if you can make a living off of it, dude, that's fantastic. Like,
Listen, George, you're a good player, man,
thanks,
and
man.
you studied. No, you are, and
I
you
know.
and you, and you studied, and you're good at your craft. So why wouldn't you want to play, even if it's a wedding, or even if you're playing in a parade, or if you're playing music at a rodeo, or no matter, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
I did all those things, so I'm saying, why not? Why not
Yeah.
play? I'd rather do that than maybe do some other kind of job,
Hmm.
any kind of job. I'd rather play.
Yeah, and the people I play with, we work so well together. So um, I have that relationship that's great because sometimes it can go wrong. I actually get this, dude. I had a whole wedding band in my living room, and we need like horns, all guitars, me, three vocalists, whatever. And it was a little rough in the beginning. Only two people had the experience of doing it, and basically everybody dropped out besides this one vocalist named Julia. So she kind of stuck by my side. Let's go find musicians. Like this is ridiculous because she's been doing it for a while. She has the experience.
Mhm.
Everybody else hasn't. So they kind of just got I guess flustered. They were like exhausted. It was
Mhm.
overwhelming for them. So they're like, I don't know if I want to do this. Or some of the other musicians had a lot of other things on their plates. So I totally respect that. But yeah, playing those cover gigs. I mean, hour set, 15, 20 minute break, hour set. That's fun, man. You just don't stop.
Yeah, gotta play. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were always playing those gigs. Like I want to say, like for the past 5, 10 years, you were playing a lot of cover gigs. I mean, I wasn't 21, but I went to one of those restaurants that was 21 over. You were playing a jazz
Oh
set.
yeah.
Yeah, oh, dude, it's phenomenal, man. Like the guys that you work with and your chops. Oh man, that just melts my ears when I hear that stuff. It's so good. It's so good. You've done it for so long. It's just like it's like putting butter on toast, man. It's the easiest thing, it's the easiest thing to do.
It's,
Um, do you have plans of gigging after the quarantine is done? Because I know you try your best to get those opportunities.
I probably will, but I don't want to go out and try to solicit to try to get gigs anymore myself. And I used to do that, and some of the bands that I did that with, I had them working for days upon nights upon days upon nights. And I'm talking about we were making some money,
Hmm.
But I mean, dealing with club owners and things like that, I can't get next to that anymore. I don't want to be a booking agent. I
Mm,
I just want to play now, and so I rather do the studio work, what I'm doing, and just play for myself.
hmm.
I don't want to go out on tour anymore. I'm old now, you know what I mean? So,
Stop, dude. You don't look a day
I
over
mean,
40, man. Come
I
on.
can still. Let me tell you something.
Go ahead.
During this time between me and you,
Hmm.
nobody else is listening, right?
No, no way. It's just us. Trust me.
I've been practicing and practicing and playing
Hmm.
and playing and practicing and playing, and I'm starting to get good.
You're ridiculous. What do you mean you're starting to get good?
Yeah,
You've been good for the longest
I think I'm
time.
getting better.
Better? A little bit better? Oh, jeez. I mean, I believe
Just a
you.
little bit, but
I
but
believe you. Just I'm gonna when this is done and over with, I'll have to come over and we'll see how good you got. We'll
I
put you
don't
to the
know
test
about
or
that.
something. I
Yeah,
don't. No, no,
now you come over anytime, man. You come.
no. I know I miss you, and I think that's the one thing when you involve yourself in an industry like that. You make a lot of sacrifices, and I would talk to you probably once in a blue moon, unfortunately, and then I keep you updated, and you keep me updated, and like we just go either have a drink down the street or just kind of touch up at where we just left off, and nothing really feels like it changed. So I think that's just the one thing people have to take into consideration. Like, remember I used to tell you.
I think that just was something that we felt you and I, we were friends like right away. You know what I mean? And it made the lessons comfortable, and we had a good time when we got together. So yeah, I would
Dude,
sure like to do that again. Let's
yeah,
go out and have a drink,
yeah,
and
we'll
we'll
go out
talk about
jam.
this whole thing some more.
I'll be driving. Yeah, no, and it's crazy. I never I just put my foot to the gas pedal and just floored it. And it's just one of those things that you have to take into consideration. Like, I remember I used to tell you, I used to tell this to the bands all the time. Like, you want to be broke? Do you want to have 5 different jobs? Do you want to be starving? Well, then you can be in an original band. So let's do it. And then if like they kind of hesitate, I'm like, no, they're not ready. They're
Yeah,
not
that
ready.
sounds great to me.
Yeah, dude, it did. I'm crazy. Like, I am psychotic. Like, once I saw, especially when you're a teenager, you see bands, you watch their documentaries, you watch how they struggle. I mean, even Linkin Park, like that was just, they were getting tickets every day outside of their studio when they were recording. So it's just like, and they were broke and they were like at each other's throats. Like, that's how you do it. You fight for it until the tank is empty, and then if the tank is empty, you push the car. You know what I mean? You don't stop. You just keep going. So that's a lot of things that
That's right.
these musicians, some of them really have. I see it in their eyes, um, and some of them just don't. It's just crazy. It's just one of those things that, like, if you do it for a hobby and you thoroughly enjoy it, yeah, it's fine. But like if you want to be in an industry of music and make a living out of it, they have to understand, just people in general, like it's a lot of passion, fight, drive, and you gave me so many examples, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy, and I'm still thankfully in it, with my friends,
Well, let me tell you something. I mean, I saw the passion that
colleagues.
you had, and I really treated you like I did my son.
Mm.
I told you, don't do it. Don't do it.
And I still did it.
Don't do it.
Still did it. You know what's crazy?
Don't do it. You're
No,
gonna be sorry.
I know. You know what, man? That universe like treated you so well because I remember you telling me you got the opportunity to possibly join Kiss, and then Frank was born, and you made that decision on yourself. You're like, I'm just gonna hang with my family and my son and raise him which is amazing. And the universe totally rewarded that, and they are a multi-platinum, hit. Thankfully,
there was a lot of things that nobody knows about that made me make that decision.
True, very true. And not even I.
Very, very personal things that I was going through that I just couldn't do that.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
That's for me to know and for you to find out. Point is, I just had to do what I did. So
no, that's great though. I mean, and then he's done so much. He still will keep doing it. You will still keep doing it. Anything musically, it's a nonstop process. It's a love. It's a passion. So we won't. Anybody that's watching or listening to this, like, none of us are stopping anytime soon. So just keep looking out, man. Just keep looking out. So what I keep like reminiscing on a lot of the videos that you showed me. You showed me a good amount of Gene Krupa. You showed me a good amount of Buddy Rich for sure. That was because your first beat that you gave me was swing groove. And that evolved into, and that's not an easy groove to play when you're like starting out to learn. And I think I picked it up in like, let's say like a couple lessons. And then you showed me Buddy. How was that relationship with him, man? Because I know you tell me some stories like going to Yankees games and such, but I mean, you guys, I'm sure, work together on a lot of different projects in a sense, right?
Well, we did a few projects, but we were like friends, and I was with Modern Drummer at the time, and Buddy was probably the biggest name drummer you could find to have on your cover of your magazine. So if you were a drumming magazine, and so I met Buddy through some people that I went to see him play. I was with these people from the Professional Percussion Center in Manhattan, and I was teaching there. And so we all went as a group. And then the second time I took my dad with me, and we were sitting with Mel Lewis and all these like other famous drummers and stuff. And my father was like sitting there, and he was like all happy, and I introduced him to Buddy because I had met Buddy a few times.
That's amazing, man.
And my father was kind of proud of that. But then Buddy and I started hanging out, and I wanted to do another interview with him with Modern Drummer. So we set up this thing where I was going to go meet him at his apartment. He was off the road, and so thinking this is what happened. Jesus. So anyway, so I'm hanging out with Buddy, and I had to go back to the office, and I was thinking, what would be pretty cool? I'm going to send him some coffee ice cream, because we sat, he had nothing in the house to eat. He said, Cheech, you want some coffee ice cream? I hate coffee ice cream, really. You know what I mean? But I said, oh, yeah, man. Yeah, all right. Let's have some more coffee ice cream.
Yeah.
So he pulls out this coffee ice cream, and we had the coffee ice cream, and it was hot. It was hot. And so anyway, so that day when I left there, his air conditioning unit went out in the whole building. The air conditioning building, the air conditioner went out in the whole building.
Yeah,
right?
The whole complex, yeah.
And it was really, really hot in his apartment. So I was thinking to myself, what would be nice? I'll send him some coffee ice cream. So I called all over Manhattan and found this place that would deliver ice cream.
No way.
And I got this big 5-gallon thing and had it sent to his house. Now, in his apartment, he's got all this white furniture and white fur rugs. He's all white, all beautiful and nice.
He's a gangster.
So they send the coffee ice cream to his apartment. Nobody's home.
Of course.
He went back out on the road doing something, I don't know. Nobody's in the house or the apartment. So this jerk leaves the coffee ice cream in front of his door. They had it in this dry ice, but he leaves the coffee ice cream in front of the door.
Oh, that's a good idea.
The air conditioning goes out and melts, and seeps under the door and ruins the fuzzy fur white carpet in the front. So the next day, I'm in Modern Drummer's office, and the phone rings, and I'm out of my office doing something. I don't know what I'm doing. They get the phone call.
Right, exactly.
Cheech,
Jesus
there's
Christ.
a phone call for you. No, I'm out of my office. There's a phone call for you. I said, oh, yeah. Who is it? It's Buddy Rich.
You're in fucking trouble, dude. Okay, cool.
I'll be right back. I'll take it in my office. So I go in my office. I figured I'm gonna put this on speaker.
Jesus.
I pick it up. Hello? It's Buddy on the phone, right? Who's this? I said, it's Cheech. Buddy, it's Cheech. You fucking asshole! You know what you did?
He had such a temper in your pants, shit in your pants. Like, oh no, like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What did I do? What do you mean?
All the ice cream melted in all of my carpet.
What did you do? My heart would have sank, man.
I'm trying to push the button.
Oh, just to stop it.
We
Oh
were
my God.
After that.
No way, really? Jesus, no, my God, man. And he had such a temper with his band. I mean, let alone just like.
Listen to some of those bus tapes.
I did. He's screaming. Yeah, like this was, I mean, like I every once in a while I do now, but back in the day, I'm like, man, this guy really knows what he wants. And he's like, you were supposed to be on key on this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm shitting my pants. Like, and I'm not even in front of the guy. So, oh my God, I would have freaked out. That dude. So you guys became best friends. So that's the story of you guys became best friends.
We remained good friends after that.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. Oh my God.
We used to go to games together and stuff. Buddy was all right with me. He really was.
I would have lost it. That's like, you know, when I interviewed Kevin Lyman the other day, listen, like this is like us normal conversating all the time. And like, granted, I love Kevin Lyman. He's done so much for the industry. I was so nervous and like a little wet. I was like, he's been asked so many questions, like all the same questions. So I really have to dig in and see like what he's up to. But the one thing I did like, he's doing this thing called 320 Festival with Talinda Bennington, who is Chester Bennington's widow. So they tackled mental health, and it was like a huge festival, and they were gonna do more upcoming in May. So I'm gonna definitely look out for that. Unfortunately, the quarantine is putting that back a little bit, but. When I met him for the first time, we were playing Knockout at one of the barbecues. It was like day 2 of our 11-day tour. He just starts showing up, and we're a little drunk, just drinking and stuff. And fucking, he shows up, and everybody's like, "Hey man, what's up?" He's like, "Hey," and just like fucking starts like beating us in Knockout. Like, it's my tour. This is like not like that, but like he just showed up, hung out, and then like left. I was like, oh my God, like, did you see us play? How'd you feel about us? It was crazy. So it's cool to be a part of that alumni. And you know what's crazy? I don't know if you know this. So 2018 was the 25th anniversary. In 2005, they were the only 2 dates in Warped Tour history where they made profit off the ticket sales alone. And MCR was on that in 2005. So it was like them, Paramore, Katy Perry, like a huge lineup. And that was when the industry just started just going. Like it's crazy. And like unfortunately for him, he was saying the community's not there anymore, so he kind of shut it down. But at least I can.
Well, that's a shame.
You know, yeah, he's working on a bunch of other projects. So thankfully, he's an entrepreneur of many other things. You know, wears a lot of hats. So
you've been teaching?
I have. I've been teaching a couple students. Yeah, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm very patient with them. I'm doing bi-weekly with both of them. I wish it was weekly because I feel like it would be easier to kind of mold how they're learning some of the techniques I'm teaching them. However, they have other things going on. So I think once they hit like a teenage year, I think their parents are going to say, hey, do you want to do this every week? because they're getting into it. But they're so smart. They just like pick it up immediately.
Yeah.
Kind of like how you and I had that connection immediately. 'Cause you teach me something, and I involved into something else. Like once I started learning jazz, and once we got remember when we got a double bass pedal in that big room? That changed everything, man. Like that changed everything.
It sure did, yeah.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it though.
And we want to talk about the swing patterns and stuff that we were doing. I think if you capture that triplet feel, that rounded eighth note feel, rather than just the straight eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you get the 1, the 2, the 3, that's the feel of that rolling triplet of the swing, you know?
Yeah, and it makes it a little bit more of a groove in a sense, instead of, very straightforward. That's how I was able to take advantage of my accents, like with my ghost notes, when I would do them on the andas, 1, 2, and 3, or I just do double ghost notes, and I always hit my snare on the 1. But when I do the double ghost notes, it kind of embraces that feel entirely, and it makes some cool stuff. I did that on the Poeta album. I did a lot of things that you taught me on the Poeta album, kind of just as a way of making sure this debut album would be pretty cool, which it was. But yeah, it's so heartwarming to have these kids learn. They're so interested in it, and the one kid is he plays violin now and piano, and I'm like, yeah, you just do whatever you want, man. Like, literally just do whatever you want. Like, that's so cool. I couldn't be able to do that. I don't think I would have the patience for. I needed that mentor-like aspect, thankfully, because that's how I learn. Like, usually in trade jobs that I go through, I always need that one-on-one, hands-on. I don't know. It's just how I learn. This is one of those things.
You've always had a vision of doing broader things, like we remember talking about the music and having different people play on the podcasts and things that you were talking about,
Yeah. That idea.
You guys playing on there too.
Yeah, that's going to come to fruition very soon. I mean, this is the beginning of what I want to have it imagined, because eventually it will grow into something where other people are playing on it. I don't know. Like, it's just going to be a whole. I remember what we talked about, where some ideas that got sent out to the universe, they kind of came up with it. Oh, well, now I'm already starting to implement it in this, but once I actually get a foundation and invest a little bit of money into it, then yeah, for sure. But this is something cool, educational, for anybody who really wants to learn that, and just have a good time with it. This quarantine thing has really put people under, some people under a lot of stress and anxiety. So, if an episode is able to kind of calm them down, or relate or something, I totally feel that, because I've been listening to a lot of podcasts just to try to make me laugh and just get out of my own, because I'm in the house, or I just go to work and I have to come home. I can't go hang out with my friends. Like, you guys want to go to a bar? No, you can't go to a bar. You can't go bowling. I don't know. It's just something. Oh, we can't play gigs. That's the thing. I haven't jammed with anybody, dude, in a month, and it's killing me. I don't mind playing with my in-ears that I have in now, but it's not the same as jamming with my friends and stuff. So
you're right.
It's something crazy. But you have a couple lessons today, so I don't want to keep you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get going. But listen, man, I want to thank you for letting me be a part of this. This was a blast for me, just to get together with you and see you again on the screen.
We're gonna be seeing each other as soon as this quarantine's over, and I'll give you a call this weekend. We'll see. We'll just keep each other up to date. But I miss you, man. I love you. I mean, if this wasn't for you,
mom and your family.
You too, man. Tell Debbie I said hi. Have Frank and the kids. Hopefully everybody's doing well. But yeah, man, this is all because of you, man. So I'm just gonna keep going with this, and we're gonna see some cool things coming up. So I appreciate you, brother.
The phenom, right there.
I'm trying, brother. Brother. All right, man.
Don't be a stranger, okay?
Absolutely not, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right, brother. Take care.
Over and out.
See ya.